Hello everyone, I'm William Quigley, co-founder of Tether, Wax, GoCoin and Magnetic, a crypto incubation and investment firm. Today I'm going to run through 5 predictions for 2021. And let me begin with the first one. Crypto maximalism is dead. For those of you in the cryptocurrency space, you know what I'm talking about. People who believe that there's one chain to rule them all, that you won't need all these other chains because one chain is sufficient. I've never thought that myth was accurate, and I think even less of it now, having seen the explosion of different use cases that different blockchains are focused on, whether it be DeFi or NFT trading or supply chain, the list goes on. So in the analog world, we never see one restaurant sell all the food, one clothing company sell all the clothing, one programming language being used by all developers. Different things are built for different purposes. The same is true in crypto. So chain interoperability, where one blockchain can use or take advantage of the strengths of another, is a big theme, I think, that we started seeing at the end of 2020 and will continue in 2021. Hopefully forever eliminating this notion of maximalism, which you see a lot with Bitcoin blockchain people in particular. You really have to look no further than what's going on with Polkadot. Polkadot, a blockchain built for chain interoperability, is now the 4th most valuable blockchain. So there's a reason people are thinking this trend and this theme is going to be important in 2021. So next, smart NFTs. I think 2021 will be we'll see the initial stages of smart NFTs. NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are, as most of you know, started out with things like CryptoKitties, artwork incorporated in a non-fungible token. Well, smart NFTs are similar, but they do a lot more. You could call them like multimedia focused. They'll have video, audio, location awareness. Smart NFTs will have a number of other attributes. They'll be aware of the environment around the person, the holder who has them. And the reason it's an important trend to look at is NFTs in general are going to be their own media, their own entertainment media, in the same class as music and film and video games. Video games, by the way, 160 billion annual market in video game sales, and 100 billion of that is virtual items, but they're traditional digital items, not tokenized items. And as consumers see the value of individually owning and being able to trade and being able to instantly identify as unique and not counterfeited a digital item, they're going to embrace things like smart NFTs. So that's my second prediction. That'll happen in beginning in 2021. For my third prediction, I'm going to say that central bank digital currencies will not only roll out, and that is something we've started to see the beginnings of in 2020, with China announcing it's going to have its own stablecoin, a tokenized RMB. So my prediction in 2021 for central bank digital currencies is that continues. Other countries will be announcing that they're going to do the same, but more importantly, that it will have no material effect on the existing cryptocurrency market or with stablecoins in general. And that is something that a lot of people are wondering, will the issuance of sovereign-based stablecoins cause the need for traditional, the existing non-sovereign stablecoins like Tether, DAI, and many others to go away? And I'd say no, and the reason is pretty simple. Sovereign-based stablecoins are going to be in an entirely separate system. They will be issued in private ledgers, private chains. They will not be issued on public blockchains like Ethereum or Bitcoin. And so they will exist, but separate from decentralized algorithmic stablecoins and even centralized stablecoins, but that are not owned by sovereigns. And each of these can have different use cases. And I believe as a result, you will probably see very little impact on the existing cryptocurrency market from the rollout initially of China and then other countries' central bank digital currencies. So for my fourth prediction, SPAX. So special purpose acquisition corps are going to be buying blockchain businesses. For those of you who are familiar or not familiar with SPACs, SPACs are companies that go public. The only asset they have is cash, and they look to buy an existing business to acquire it. I think in 2021, you will see SPACs, many of which went public, a record number of SPACs went public in 2020, looking for targets, companies to acquire. And companies in the blockchain space could be very attractive, particularly mining companies, exchanges, maybe crypto custodial businesses. And the reason is those types of businesses are familiar to Wall Street people. They also have predictable cash flows. And if the Coinbase IPO happens and that stock does really well, and I foresee it being public at a valuation initially of at least 50 billion, if it does that well or better, you will see a lot of investors hungry, public investors hungry to get exposure to blockchain-based economy. And that will make blockchain-based businesses, the types I've talked about, pretty attractive SPAC acquisition candidates. So expect to see that. Finally, I'd like to make a prediction about the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, both at the end of Q1 and at the end of 2020. So with BTC, we've seen where it's been. It's gone up almost 200% in the fourth quarter of 2020. It is gone up another third, from about 30,000 to almost 42,000 before retracing to about 35, 36,000 today. But there are powerful forces, both on the plus and the minus side of Bitcoin, that I think make it, judging where it's going to finish in Q1, a little dicey. On the positive side, what could lift the price of Bitcoin is institutional adoption. It's began in 2020, but it's now at a very strong pace. The Grayscale Trust is one example of that. Almost over 600,000 Bitcoin that the Grayscale Trust holds. In addition, you have the positive effects of the halvening. The halvening occurred in May 2020. Typically between 6 months and 18 months after a halvening, Bitcoin rises between 300 and 400%. Well, 6 months after the halvening was November. That's when we started seeing Bitcoin going up. So if historical patterns persist, Bitcoin's got a lot of headroom, even in the first quarter, from where it is right now. On the negatives, you've got the fact that Bitcoin rarely goes up by multiples and then avoids a significant pullback. It had a slight pullback, dropped about 20% or so, 25% in the first week of January, but recovered, and it's now, as I mentioned, in the $37,000 range today. You've also never seen Bitcoin go up in a quarter by more than 100% and then rise again in the next quarter. At least you haven't seen that in the last 7 years where there's been a lot of data. So in Q4, Bitcoin went up 200%. So the likelihood of it going up another substantial amount in Q1, based on history, isn't so high. So there's a 5 out of 7 chance that the price of Bitcoin actually declines in Q1, doesn't go up. Now, I'm not that bearish on the price of Bitcoin in Q1, but I do think we do have to be aware of these historical patterns. On balance, I look to the exchange-traded options market and see that Bitcoin has a lot of confidence, a lot of buyers of calls between the $48,000 to $52,000 price range. So I'd say on balance, I think it's going to finish somewhere between 45 and maybe 52, 53,000 in Q1. By end of year, as more institutional investors come in, I could see it going up another 50%. So call it 72 to 80,000 price of Bitcoin at the end of 2021. Regarding Ethereum, Ethereum experienced a huge spike last year from 130 at the beginning of 2020 to 740 at the end. It's now almost doubled again to over 1,400 today. So I look at the price of Ethereum and I say it's risen a lot, and yet if it sustains its all-time high, which is about 1,400 where it is now, if it sustains that for a week or more, I could see it going up to perhaps $2,200. And for the by the end of Q1, by the end of the year, I think it's got a potential to double again to roughly $4,400. And I say that because today Bitcoin or Ethereum is the market cap of Ethereum is about 1/5 of the market cap of Bitcoin. Now, when you consider what Ethereum can do, what it enables developers to do, when you consider the tens of thousands of people building on Ethereum, successful businesses on Ethereum, and you compare that to Bitcoin, which is for the most part a store of value and is not really used as a smart contract based blockchain. I think institutional investors, while they were most comfortable with Bitcoin initially, they're going to want to ultimately own a blockchain that allows people to build, and that right now looks to be Ethereum. So I could see Ethereum within a year, maybe the end of 2021, having a market cap of close to half the market cap of Bitcoin. So if you did that today, you'd be looking at Ethereum having maybe a $4,400 price. And so by year end, I could see it being in that range, provided the crypto markets in general continue to get strong institutional support. So that's my prediction for 5 predictions for 2021, and thank you.